Right now on Morning Rush at 5, she was gunned down while in the back seat of a car with her mother. Now police have released a video of a person of interest that they hope will lead to the 8-year-old girl's arrest. And a grim milestone for the state as COVID-19 cases surpass 100,000. This as we take a look at the latest numbers and hospitalizations across the state. Plus, when and how should students return back to the classroom? It's a growing debate brewing for months, with the state's largest school district announcing its plans for the fall. We have those stories and more today, Wednesday, July 8th.
Live from Atlanta, Morning Rush starts now.
It's the social app many people are obsessed with, but it may soon be banned in the U.S. The Trump administration says they are looking into banning TikTok and several other Chinese social media apps. The reason? Privacy concerns. Now, we know many of you love that TikTok, learning those latest dance moves, so we want to know, what do you think of it possibly being banned? We're talking about completely. Let us know. Use that hashtag MorningRushATL. Francesca, we turn immediately to you when it comes to that. Well, I doubt Chesley, myself, maybe Christy.
You guys have never TikToked?
No.
We'll get into it. All right, good morning, folks. I'm Francesca Emmerger. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Sheba Russell is off today, but we've got meteorologist extraordinaire Chesley McNeil and Christy Diaz here. But first, we begin with Crash Clark with a red alert.
Yeah, we've been following this one. In fact, I woke up about 2:30 this morning and started tweeting this one out at 11 Alive Traffic. Make sure you follow us. I continue to report traffic all throughout the day. Look at this pickup truck right here. This thing traveling down 85 northbound near Jimmy Carter Boulevard, rolls over several times, catches on fire, and they have been trying to clear this scene again for several hours. Let's get to a live look on my maps because we're seeing some movement here. Yep, there you go. It looks like they are reopening these lanes. Some good news for the early commute, 85 northbound past Jimmy Carter Boulevard. However, I wouldn't expect that volume to get moving anytime soon. Got to give that about a good 20-30 minutes till we clear all that volume out of the way. Chesley McNeil.
All right, thanks a lot, Crash. We had some rain through the overnight. That rain has subsided. The clouds starting to break up just a little bit. We're going to get a mix of sun and clouds early today, and then by the afternoon, more of those thunderstorms will come back into the forecast area in some spots. Now, visibility has been reduced up here to the far north. You can see down to 3 miles visibility in Blairsville, down to 2 miles visibility in parts of Dalton. In that area, you have 0 visibility, so be careful up there traveling around. Temperature starting off in the 70s, 74 degrees right now in Atlanta and Peachtree City. It's pretty muggy on the outside, so know that it will be a warm afternoon for us. 82 degrees by noon, on our way to 87 for a forecast high.
In the name of Jesus, oh God, we ask that you wrap your loving arms around this family.
Faith leaders and the community held a prayer vigil last night for an 8-year-old girl killed over the violent holiday weekend. Gunmen let out a hail of bullets at a car where Sequoia Turner was riding in with her mother. Now police may have a lead into who the suspects were. Nick Sturdivant is live outside the Atlanta Police Headquarters. And Nick, police have released that video surveillance of a person of interest.
Good morning, Francesca. Not only is there surveillance video of a person of interest, but Crime Stoppers reward is now up to $20,000. Take a look at your screen. This is the video that Atlanta police released yesterday. A man in a white shirt and dark pants walking with an AR-15 assault rifle. Atlanta police think he could know something about the killing of 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. Sequoia was in a car with her mother and a friend on July 4th when a group confronted them Saturday night on Pryor Road in Southeast Atlanta. Someone opened fire, hitting their car multiple times, striking Sequoia, killing her.
We've been getting a lot of Crime Stoppers information, and I want to say thank you to the public that is coming forward and providing that information, and we hope that will continue, especially with the increase of that reward up to $20,000.
And Francesca, investigators believe at minimum there are 3 additional suspects that they are looking for, but they say any help finding this man on the surveillance video is the first step in the process.
Nick, thank you. And for a closer look at that surveillance video, I want you to go to our website right now, 11alive.com. The story is on the front page. Now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. Georgia has reached a grim milestone with now more than 100,000 cases. A total of 2,899 deaths have been reported since the pandemic began.
We want to get them open quickly, beautifully in the fall. And as you know, this is a disease. It's a horrible disease, but young people do extraordinarily well.
Despite a surge in cases across the nation, President Trump is still standing firm on his push to reopen schools in the fall. The president saying he will pressure governors to bring kids back to the classrooms. And as school districts here in Georgia weigh out their options, we want to know what you think, because this is where Atlanta speaks. We actually have a poll up right now. You see it at the bottom of your screen. What are your thoughts on school opening this fall? You can actually vote on 11alive.com/vote. Mara Sirianni has the latest on the school plans, including the state's largest school district pushing back its start time.
As for Gwinnett County Public Schools, it's up to parents to send their kids back to the classroom or keep them at home for virtual learning. In a special Board of Education meeting, the board passed down the decision to open August 12th instead of August 5th. Students, staff, and visitors must wear masks. They say there are exceptions for those unable to wear one for health-related reasons. The board also deciding to cancel in-person graduations later this month for the class of 2020. Gwinnett County mom Evelina Ruiz points out school starts just weeks after the now canceled graduations.
They're going to cancel the graduation, but we're still going to open the school. We have to be concerned of our community as a whole.
As for teachers, Gwinnett County plans to increase its pre-planning time by adding 5 days for teachers to prepare classrooms and assemble digital learning plans. Now, the deadline for parents to choose between in-person and virtual learning for the first semester of the upcoming school year is July 10th.
And as the daughter of a 36-year retired DeKalb County teacher, I know this is very frustrating for a lot of teachers to hear. Last year, there were talks of them being the ones to unarm a potential mass shooter in the schools. And now the profession that is already underpaid and severely underfunded have to risk getting sick themselves and carrying that virus to their own elderly parents or children with underlying conditions. So we want to know, what are your thoughts on schools this fall opening? You can actually vote in our poll that's up right now on 11alive.com/vote. Now to some other top stories we're following on this Wednesday morning.
Clean surfaces. The Environmental Protection Agency approving 2 disinfectants to kill the virus from surfaces. The products are Lysol Disinfectant Spray and Lysol Disinfectant Max Cover Mist. The sprays proved effective against COVID-19 in lab testing. Skipping the Republican National Convention. GOP Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Charles Grassley, and Lamar Alexander say they will not go to Jacksonville, Florida for the event next month. Grassley isn't going because of COVID-19. The other 3 gave different reasons.
Heating up, your Atlanta Braves begin simulating scrimmages as part of their summer training. Manager Brian Snicker says he isn't looking for the guys to go all out just yet, but things will begin to pick up as they get closer to the season opener in 16 days.
All right, 508 Traffic Tracker, Crash Clark here with you. A little bit of good news, but we've got more than just this 85 northbound past Jimmy Carter Boulevard wreck. As you can see, a whole nother scene further down the road. We had the pickup truck that flipped over, caught fire. Still one right lane is open. A lot of traffic starting to move, but then you're filing back into one right lane. This is 85 northbound, so most of this is between Jimmy Carter Boulevard and Indian Trail, but the backups stretch all the way towards Spaghetti Junction. So still quite a scene here as they continue to investigate this wreck. Buford Highway, Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, or Highway 29 will get you around this.
Well, we had some showers through the overnight. Those showers have begun to subside, and so we're clearing out just a little bit. I think we'll get some sunshine in early, but look for the clouds to increase once again as we head through mid-morning into early afternoon, and then the chance for the showers will return back to our forecast area. Hour by hour forecast. We got plans for today. We're going to start off in the 70s, 79 degrees by 11 with mostly cloudy skies by then. After 1 or 2 o'clock, we'll start to see some of those showers begin to develop. Better chance for the thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon, with temperatures getting up to about 87 degrees for and high.
Looking good, Chesley. Now to a story that may put a frown on your child's face, maybe you too. The U.S. is looking at banning TikTok. Christy Diaz joins us from her Fulton County home. And what's the reasoning behind that possible ban, Christy?
Well, Francesca, you know reaction to this one was swift. This app is so popular, especially with the younger generation. But the reason behind it actually has to do with China. Stick with me. I'll walk you through this one. Here's how it started. During an interview with Fox News, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said because of rising tensions with the U.S. and China and scrutiny on Chinese technology firms, they are, quote, looking at banning TikTok and other Chinese social media apps. When asked if people should download TikTok, Pompeo responded, quote, only if you want your private information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, people's reactions are all over the board with this one. Chris took the sarcastic route, posting, because China is going to destroy America through annoying dances and corny songs. Jeff, trying to pump the brakes with his comment, he replied to the story with, whoa, getting a bit authoritarian, aren't we? But Rita says she gets it. She said yes, to keep from being hacked seemed reasonable to her. We want to know what you think. Join the conversation with the hashtag #MorningRushATL. And Fran, I'll be honest with you, I'm not on TikTok, but then again, I've always been a little late to the social media game. So this doesn't change my world a whole lot, but it did kind of remind me of the US has banned Chinese technology firms like Huawei. That's actually still banned until 2021, according to President Trump's executive order. So this whole deal with privacy and Chinese technology has been here in the US, and I think it's different now because TikTok is so popular. I mean, every young person that I know is on TikTok. I mean, are you?
I am on TikTok, but I no longer use it for different reasons, just because life's too busy right now. But I will say in the first part of the year, Christy, about 315 million Americans downloaded TikTok. And I know people think that TikTok is this silly game or this silly place where people do dances. But let me tell you, there's so much information that is disseminated on TikTok. And a lot of people are revealing a lot of information. And I will say, as we lead into this presidency, a lot of electoral information is being dispersed on TikTok as well. So it's not just dances. There's a lot of information dispelled on this app. So, hey, if it does compromise us, I say nix it, but we will see, Christy. We will see. All right, folks, ahead on Morning Rush, international students could face deportation after many universities and colleges switch to online classes. The new regulations released by ICE.
And Senator Kelly Loeffler is facing heat after expressing her opposition to display Black Lives Matters during WNBA games. That is now prompting the push for her to be removed from the Atlanta Dream.
Plus, it's official. The U.S. has begun the process to withdraw from the World Health Organization, and many lawmakers are not pleased about it.
Welcome back to the show, folks. 5:24 is your time. In other news, hundreds of millions of dollars in federal aid for coronavirus relief for small businesses went to major donors to the president's campaign efforts. The Paycheck Protection Program provides business loans that will be forgiven if the money covers expenses like payroll and rent. The Associated Press found as much as $273 million from the program went to more than 100 companies that are owned or run by people who have donated to the president's campaign committees, the Republican National Committee, and a super PAC. The review actually found those companies were paid in early April. It did not find any evidence the companies received favorable treatment tied to their support of the president. And the Federal Trade Commission says a lot of Americans are falling victims to coronavirus scams. The FTC says Americans have actually lost more than $77 million to COVID-19 fraud. And experts say fraud is typically underreported by consumers, so the real tally is likely much higher. Scammers have reportedly targeted federal relief money like stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. And the coronavirus pandemic is boosting job opportunities for freelance workers. A new report from online freelance marketplace Freelancer shows freelance job openings increased over 25% during the April to June quarter of 2020. That's compared to the first 3 months of the year. The quarterly study tracks movements from the top 50 fastest growing and declining jobs on the site's global marketplace, which spans North America, Europe, and Asia. Crash.
All right, thank you so much, Fran. I bring a little bit of good news, even though we are still in the middle of a traffic red alert on 85 northbound. Look at that. All travel lanes have been reopened, 85 northbound past Jimmy Carter Boulevard. That's the bad news. Still got plenty of volume for folks coming up from I-285, but at least it's starting to move. Give it about another 5, 7, 10 minutes tops, and we should see a full recovery. Chesley.
All right, thanks a lot, Crash. Look at some visibility.
We are getting better, and it takes this community. It's not just a police concern. It's not a police matter to get us into a better space.
Right now on Morning Rush at 5:30, one-on-one with Atlanta's interim chief of police after a violent July 4th weekend here in Atlanta. His thoughts on reforging trust with the communities they serve and the governor activating the National Guard. As Georgia hits a grim milestone, surpassing 100,000 COVID-19 cases, Metro Atlanta cities are taking action, where you'll now be required to wear a face covering in public. Plus, safety in the skies during the pandemic. We'll show you how Delta Airlines is protecting you on your next flight. We have those stories and more today, Wednesday, July 8th.
Live from Atlanta, Morning Rush starts now.
Can you hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of nothing. That's exactly what many sports stadiums across the country will be like when teams take the field. But now Yamaha is in the business of changing all that. They're creating an app that would let you pipe virtual cheers into empty stadiums. What do you think about this idea? I love it. Do you think it's going to make a difference? Use that hashtag MorningRushATL to weigh in. I know there was a soccer team, I forgot where it was in the countries. They were piping in not just virtual sound, but virtual looks at the game. Like you could actually buy a seat to where you could see it virtually. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be a lot of technology. We'll talk about this.
What a concept.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm fascinated. Well, good morning, folks. I'm Francesca Amaker. Sheba Russell is off. Crash Clark and Christy Diaz will join us in a moment. Can't wait to hear about this piping. But first, meteorologist Chesley McNeil with another rainy forecast for us today.
All right, thanks a lot, Francesca. Let's start you off with the radar, and it does show that we have the rain that was ending through the overnight. And so we're calming down, at least, and some skies starting to clear out a little bit, but we'll get more clouds in here, and unfortunately more showers and thunderstorms will pop up a little bit later on this afternoon. Visibility a concern up here to the far north. There are some spots up here where we have zero visibility reporting, but you're down to 3 miles visibility in Blairsville, down to 2 over toward Dalton. Got excellent visibility everywhere else. Temperatures in the 70s starting off this morning. Is pretty muggy in a lot of spots like Atlanta at 74. We'll get up to 82 degrees by noon with mostly cloudy skies. And here comes the rain, or at least the thunderstorms after 2 or 3 o'clock. 87 degrees will be your forecast high. Excellent visibility, Crash Clark. I can see you from here.
Excellent visibility. Actually, excellent visibility on I-85. Look at this. All lanes have been reopened. Take a deep breath and let's get back to a rush hour now. There actually looks like there's more of southbound traffic that's on I-85, but this was what we're talking about, this big wreck, 85 northbound. We put it right past Jimmy Carter Boulevard. All travel lanes are open. That volume, trust me, is going to thin out quickly. Wreck on 400 southbound around Lenox. Got to get that one cleared out of the way, but at least the good news on I-85, all lanes have been reopened. Francesca?
Turning now to new developments in the tragic death of an 8-year-old girl. Atlanta police releasing this chilling video related to Sequoia Turner's shooting death. Investigators are looking for a person of interest. I want you to take a look at your screen. He was seen carrying an AR-15 the night Turner was killed. Now, she was killed Saturday night after gunmen opened fire on her mother's SUV as she attempted to turn around in a University Avenue parking lot. Police also say they are looking for at least 3 additional suspects. They are now offering a $20,000 reward in this case. APD's interim chief is now vowing to do what it takes to keep the city safe after a very violent July 4th weekend. Nick Sturdivant is live outside APD headquarters with more.
Good morning, Francesca. Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant said it's been a challenging month for his officers, but he says that they are committed to moving forward. He says the national news headlines that depict Atlanta as violent or unsafe are unfair. Chief Bryant says he was not given any advance notice that Governor Brian Kemp was activating the National Guard in response to the violence over the weekend. Now, Chief Bryant said his officers are frustrated and heartbroken about the crimes in the city. He also said the hardest part is that they have gone from one event to the next so there's not time for them to actually recover and breathe as a police department.
These men and women have had to be out on these protest lines under some of the worst circumstances. We've been in places before where the police department and the community we serve have not been aligned. And so what it requires us to do is to get together, have deep conversations and continuous conversation to get back in that alignment.
And Francesca, Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant, who you just heard from, said that there's already a plan in place to keep the city safe, and he is willing to work with groups that are wanting to help move the city forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nick. And people in Atlanta are coming together after a violent weekend in the city. They hit the streets to find justice and peace after the death of 5 people, including 8-year-old Sequoia Turner.
In the name of Jesus, oh God, we ask that you wrap your loving arms around this family.
Now, the faith community prayed over the families recently affected by the weekend violence. About 100 people joined them for the Peace on the Streets prayer vigil along David Abernathy last night. Later today at noon, a citywide prayer will be held for Sequoia Turner's family. And for a closer look at the case, including that surveillance video, we want you to go to our website, 11alive.com. The story is on the front page. Now turning to COVID-19 in our state, Georgia, now one of 9 other states surpassing 100,000 coronavirus infections. More than 3,400 cases were reported on yesterday alone, the second highest number of cases logged in a single day. Now, according to the state public health department, more than 12,000 patients have been hospitalized with the virus in the state, and nearly 3,000 have died. In the past 2 weeks, on average, an average of 14 people died from the virus per day. It's because of the increasing surge of infections in Georgia that metro Atlanta cities are taking drastic measures like requiring masks to stop the spread of this virus. Mara Sirianni has more on where you'll be required to wear one in public.
Athens is now the 3rd city in Georgia to require the wearing of face masks in public. East Point is the first city in Fulton County to do the same for businesses. Athens Clark County commissioners unanimously passing an ordinance mandating the wearing of face masks. There are a few exceptions. You won't need to wear one while alone in your car, while eating or drinking, or if you have a health condition that would be aggravated by a mask. They also aren't required for children under the age of 10. Violators can face up to a $100 fine. East Point and Savannah also requiring people to wear masks. In East Point, City Council passing the new law requiring patrons and employees inside businesses to wear face masks. Kids under the age of 2 are exempt. Fines won't be enforced until Monday. The order in East Point goes into effect at midnight. Athens Clark County says their order will likely go into effect at 8 o'clock this morning.
An association representing several large retailers like Home Depot and Target is actually asking governors to make it a requirement to wear a face mask in their store. The association says different local mandates are becoming confusing for employees and customers alike and have led to some viral confrontations like this one at a Costco in Florida. The group wrote a letter to the National Governors Association, who says they are discussing it. Now to some other top stories we're following on this Wednesday morning.
I'm Alice Barr in Washington. As U.S. coronavirus cases surge past the 3 million mark, President Trump is focused on another milestone, getting children back into the classroom. The Trump administration believes that is key to getting the economy going again, and also that the social and educational costs of keeping children out of school could be worse than the virus. But they are not offering any concrete policies or new funding to help school districts restructure and reopen safely.
Tracked down. 2 men are now in jail charged in connection with a murder in Cherokee County. David Solano and Kevin Saucedo are both charged with conspiracy to commit murder in the death of John David Johnson last month. Detectives identified the men using video from a gas station near the crime scene. 8 can't wait. The Atlanta City Council passes the measure overhauling Atlanta Police's use of force policies. The goal is to reduce the number of violent police encounters. The measure includes banning chokeholds and requiring a warning before shooting. Several other cities have adopted the same policies.
Now to a story that has blown up, not just in Georgia, but nationwide. There are calls for U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler to step away from the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team she co-owns, after writing a letter opposing players wearing Black Lives Matter and Say Her Name slogans on warm-up jerseys. Christy Diaz is live from her home in Fulton County with more on the story and your social reaction. Christy.
Francesca, Senator Loeffler sent that letter to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert saying that she objected to the social justice plans for the jerseys and the court and asked that they put an American flag on the jerseys instead. In her letter, she wrote this, quote, "The truth is we need less, not more politics in sports. Sports has the power to be a unifying antidote." She says she does not support BLM, saying it wants to defund the police, remove Jesus from churches, and promotes violence and destruction across the country. Now, the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, issued a statement in response to Senator Loeffler's letter, saying the WNBA is based on the principle of equal and fair treatment and will continue to use our platforms to vigorously advocate for social justice, and said Loeffler is no longer involved in the day-to-day business of the Atlanta Dream. So let's get to your comments on this story. Linda says, I think the team should go ahead with their plans. If Leffler doesn't like it, they can walk off the court or she can leave. Janie has a different perspective, though. She thinks the uniforms should not say Black Lives Matter, but instead say all lives matter. And Cherie posted this on our 11 Alive Facebook page. She said, perhaps Kelly should reconsider. Shows she's not sensitive to current events. Now, it is also important to note that Senator Leffler is up for re-election this year, but we want you to join in on this conversation. Use that hashtag MorningRushATL.
5:40 is the current time. Let's take a look at our what to wear forecast. I'm going to suggest shorts, of course, as temperatures will get up to 87 degrees, but then also, look at that huge umbrella. Look at that. Yeah, that's the kind you're going to need with those scattered showers and thunderstorms out there this afternoon. 50% chance for those scattered showers and thunderstorms. That doesn't mean everyone will get wet, but likely you may get a shower or two, maybe even a thunderstorm. So carry the umbrella with you just in case you need it. Weather headlines shows that we'll have thunderstorms around, but our chances for the rain start to go down a little bit as we get closer to the weekend. And as the chance for the rain goes down, temperatures will be warming up. We'll have more in the full forecast coming up. Crash Clark.
All right, my friend, that looks like a big old golf umbrella right there. All right, now that all the excitement on 85 northbound past Jimmy Carter Boulevard is cleared, I'll stop talking about it. Let's talk about folks that need to head into Midtown using 85 or I-75. You can see that flow of traffic there. Doing the speed limit, maybe just a little bit more than that. But from Brookwood down to that south side split, you're only talking about a 7-minute ride, averaging into the 60s. And of course, I do this not just for you folks that are watching at home, but she's here in person. Francesca Amaker gets her favorite look at Midtown.
Oh my gosh, just look at it. That is Atlanta, folks.
It's so peaceful. Yes.
I'm waiting till the producers have to wrap me. They're like,
it's your turn.
They're like, hurry up. All right, you need a way to cool off, but worried about catching the coronavirus? We are taking a look at whether COVID-19 can actually spread in the water.
And one company is testing out a way for baseball fans to get involved in a game, even if they're not at the stadium.
Hope there was a reward. All right, wedding bells are ringing again, Francesca, across the pond. Wedding ceremonies have been given the green light to resume in England. Virus lockdown restrictions were eased so that couples could tie the knot in a church in front of a limited number of guests. Aw, ain't love grand?
Another reminder. Another reminder of singledom during this pandemic. Are you with me? Use the hashtag MorningRushATL. No worries, we got you. We'll be right back, guys. Thanks for the reminder, Crash.
We're getting better, and it takes this community. It's not just a police concern. It's not a police matter to get us into a better space.
One-on-one with Atlanta's interim chief of police after a violent July 4th weekend. His thoughts on reforging trust with the communities they serve and the governor activating the National Guard. No-knock warrants, a controversial law enforcement tactic under fire again after the death of Breonna Taylor. We're taking a closer look at why police are still using them. And as Georgia hits a grim milestone, surpassing 100,000 COVID-19 cases, Metro Atlanta cities are taking action where you'll now be required to wear a face covering in public. We have those stories and more today, Wednesday, July 8th.
Live from Atlanta, Morning Rush starts now.
A call for unity now becomes a call for new leadership. The WNBA's newest social justice platform is gaining national attention and making Atlanta the center of it all. Georgia's junior senator and co-owner of the Atlanta Dream is facing major backlash for her comments about Black Lives Matter in sports. Now, Senator Kelly Loeffler's very own team and the league's union want her gone. We want to know your thoughts on this. Should Senator Loeffler be removed? Use the hashtag MorningRushATL. We'll be getting to that definitely this morning. But in the meantime, good morning. Happy Wednesday, crew. I'm Francesca Amaker. Sheba Russell is off. Crash Clark and Christy Diaz will join us in a moment. But first, meteorologist Chesley McNeil with another rainy forecast.
Yeah, at least there's no rain around this morning. In fact, let's start you off with a live look at the great city of Noonan, Georgia, where we have a few breaks in the clouds there. You're going to see a little bit of sunshine trying to poke through, at least for this morning. I think by this afternoon, actually through mid-morning into the afternoon, you'll see more of those clouds begin to fill in. We have the low-level moisture around. With the heating, more of those showers will pop up. Right now, we got a nice dry scan here on the radar. Not worried about a ting, at least for this morning, except for some fog up here to the far north. You see visibility reduced to 1 mile in parts of Blairsville and over toward Dalton. Everywhere else, you got excellent visibility. So as you're heading into the city, it gets better. Temperatures are on the muggy side. We're in the 70s for the most part, couple 60s up to the north, going up to the 80s this afternoon for a high. In fact, 87 will be our high temperature for today.
Yeah, speaking of Noonan, good ride on 85 out of Noonan as well, all the way up through South Fulton towards the airport. Not bad at all. Want to take one more look into downtown. There were a couple of stalls along the connector northbound starting back at Cleveland Avenue. They're not impacting the ride at all. Look at that northbound ride, averaging about 68 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour if you're doing the southbound thing. In fact, normally we see a few brake lights around that Grady curve. Not a whole lot happening right now. The downtown drive in pretty good shape. In fact, look at that. 8 minutes on either side from one end of the split to the other end. That's not bad to go north and south like that. And there you go. Very quiet in Midtown on the connector near 10th and 14th. Francesca?
Turning now to new developments in the tragic death of an 8-year-old girl. Atlanta police releasing this chilling video related to Sequoia Turner's shooting death. Investigators are looking for a person of interest. Take a look at your screen right now. He was seen carrying an AR-15 the night Turner was killed. She was killed Saturday night after a gunman opened fire on her mother's SUV as she attempted to turn around in a University Avenue parking lot. Police also say they are looking for at least 3 additional suspects. They are now offering a $20,000 reward in this case. APD's interim chief is also vowing to do what it takes to keep the city safe after a violent weekend. Nick Sturdivant is live outside APD headquarters with more. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Francesca. Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant says it's been a challenging month for his officers, but he says they are committed to moving forward. He says the national headlines that depict Atlanta as unsafe and violent are unfair. Chief Bryant says he was not given any advance notice that the governor was activating the National Guard in response to the violence over the weekend. Chief Bryant said his officers are frustrated and heartbroken about the crimes in the city. He also said, and I quote, "The hardest part is that we have gone from one event to the next, so there's not time for them to actually recover and breathe as a police department."
These men and women have had to be out on these protest lines under some of the worst circumstances. We've been in places before where the police department and the community we serve have not been aligned. And so what it requires us to do is to get together, have deep conversations and continuous conversation to get back in that alignment.
And Francesca, Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant, who you just heard from, says there's already a plan in place to keep the city safe, and he says he's willing to work with groups to help move the city forward.
Nick, thank you. And people in Atlanta are coming together after a violent weekend in the city. They hit the streets to find justice and peace after the death of 5 people, including Sequoia Turner.
In the name of Jesus, oh God, we ask that you wrap your loving arms around this family.
The faith community prayed over the families recently affected by the weekend of violence. About 100 people joined them for the Peace in the Streets prayer vigil along Ralph David Abernathy last night. Later today at noon, a citywide prayer will be held for Sequoia Turner's family. And for a closer look at the case, including that surveillance video and information about Tyler Perry paying for Sequoia's funeral, we want you to go to our 11alive.com website. The story is on the front page. Now to COVID-19 in our state. Georgia, now one of 9 other states surpassing 100,000 coronavirus infections. More than 3,400 cases were reported on yesterday, and that's alone the second highest number of cases logged in a single day. According to the state public health department, more than 12,000 patients have been hospitalized with the virus in the state, and nearly 3,000 have died. In the past 2 weeks, an average of 14 people died from the virus per day. And it's because of the increasing surge of infections in Georgia that metro Atlanta cities are taking drastic measures like requiring masks to stop the spread of the virus. Mara Sirianni has more on where you'll be required to wear one in public.
Athens is now the third city in Georgia to require the wearing of face masks in public. East Point is the first city in Fulton County to do the same for businesses. Athens Clark County commissioners unanimously passing an ordinance mandating the wearing of face masks. There are a few exceptions. You won't need to wear one while alone in your car, while eating or drinking, or if you have a health condition that would be aggravated by a mask. They also aren't required for children under the age of 10. Violators can face up to a $100 fine. East Point and Savannah also requiring people to wear masks. In East Point, City Council passing the new law requiring patrons and employees inside businesses to wear face masks. Kids under the age of 2 are exempt. Fines won't be enforced until Monday. The order in East Point goes into effect at midnight. Athens Clark County says once the mayor actually signs that mandate, it will go into effect at 8 a.m. the following day.
Mara, thank you. An association representing several large retailers like Home Depot and Target is asking governors to make it a requirement to wear a face mask in their stores. The association says different local mandates are becoming confusing for employees and customers. And look at your screen. They've led to some viral confrontations like this one at a Costco in Florida. The group wrote a letter to the National Governors Association, who says they are discussing it. Now to some other top stories we're following on this Wednesday morning.
I'm Alice Barr in Washington. As U.S. coronavirus cases surge past the 3 million mark, President Trump is focused on another milestone, getting children back into the classroom. The Trump administration believes that is key to getting the economy going again, and also that the social and educational costs of keeping children out of school could be worse than the virus. But they are not offering any concrete policies or new funding to help school districts restructure and reopen safely.
Tracked down. 2 men are now in jail charged in connection with a murder in Cherokee County. David Solano and Kevin Saucedo are both charged with conspiracy to commit murder in the death of John David Johnson last month. Detectives identified the men using video from a gas station near the crime scene. 8 can't wait. The Atlanta City Council passes the measure overhauling Atlanta Police's use of force policies. The goal is to reduce the number of violent police encounters. The measure includes banning chokeholds and requiring a warning before shooting. Several other cities have adopted the same policies.
Yep. And now to a story that has blown up, not just in Georgia, but nationwide. There are calls for U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler to step away from the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team she co-owns, after writing a letter opposing players wearing Black Lives Matter and Say Her Name slogans on warm-up jerseys. Now, Christy Diaz is live from her home in Fulton County with more on the story and your reaction.
A lot of reaction on this one, Francesca. Senator Loeffler sent that letter to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, basically saying that she opposes the social justice plans for the jerseys and the court, and instead asked that an American flag be added to the apparel instead. In her letter, she wrote this. The quote is, "The truth is we need less, not more politics in sports. Sports has the power to be a unifying antidote." She says she does not support Black Lives Matter, saying it wants to defund the police, remove Jesus from churches, and promotes violence and destruction across the country. The commissioner issued a statement in response to that letter. She said the WNBA is based on the principle of equal and fair treatment and will continue to use our platforms to vigorously advocate for social justice, and said Loeffler is no longer involved in the day-to-day business of the Atlanta Dream. So let's get to your comments this morning. Ray said he is tired of politics in sports and doesn't much care to watch. But Becky says combine it all. She wrote, why not say Black Lives Matter, say her name and an American flag on the warm-up jerseys? These things should not be mutually exclusive. Julie speaking more to the emotion of the issue this morning, though. She wrote, I'm upset with her lack of empathy for the players that are making money for her. I hope they all take a year off to focus on their hopes and dreams, not the dream, meaning the Atlanta Dream team. It is also important to note that Senator Kelly Loeffler is up for re-election this year, but we want you to join in on this conversation. Use that hashtag MorningRushATL. Guys, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Christy, thank you. I'll say this, sports definitely unifies us all, but sports also allows us to be so comfortable, guys. And the biggest mission is we do not want that affirmation. People talk about Black Lives Matter being a movement and they cherry pick what they want to hear out of it, but it's an affirmation for equality for Black people. And that's the message that many players don't want to see get lost.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fran. Sports does unify us. Right now, politics seems to be dividing us. Let the Black Lives Matter movement take that platform and run with it. I'm all for it. Look, you're a co-owner of the team. You've got your opinion. Again, I don't see the problem with having the Black Lives Matter in there. I just don't. I
maybe understand if this was just an Atlanta Dream issue, but this is a league-wide issue, so that means owners and the league, the commissioner, everybody agreed on this, players as well, and now you come in and say, hey, well, I don't agree with it. Well, now more is going to come out of this, because not only are the players of the Atlanta Dream saying that she shouldn't be involved, other players are getting involved as well as far as the union as well, don't want her involved in this, and so there's got to be more to it than what we're hearing about, and so we'll continue to hear more, I'm sure. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for today, shall we? Start you off with your what to wear forecast for today. Because of the heat, I'm going to say shorts, but also carry that umbrella, maybe a big one like the one you see there in the picture there, just in case you get hit by one of those heavy downpours. There will be some scattered thunderstorms that will drop some very heavy rain on top of it, so be on the lookout for that. 87 degrees will be your afternoon high temperature for today. As we head toward the weekend, our chances for the rain start to go down, but as the chance for the rain goes down, temperatures will start to warm up. In fact, we're expecting to get back to the 90s by the time we hit Friday, and will remain that way right on through the weekend. I'm going to show you that in the 7-day outlook in just a few. Crash, back to you.
Hi, my friend. The rush hour kind of down to a dull roar right now. In fact, not a whole lot of icons out and about. Let's take a little look at the east side perimeter. We'll talk about I-20 and from Conyers and Covington, no delays. That east side perimeter also moving along, and even Highway 78, your Stone Mountain Freeway as you roll by the big rock. Look at that. Everybody conditioned green. That's not bad. Enjoy it. We'll give you a nice live look. That is I-285 north and southbound right near Highway 78, your Stone Mountain Freeway.
No-knock warrants, a controversial law enforcement tactic under fire again after the death of Breonna Taylor. We're taking a closer look at why police are still using them.
Plus, safety in the skies during the pandemic. We'll show you how Delta Airlines is protecting you on your next flight.
Morning Rush with meteorologist Chesley McNeil, Francesca Amaker, Crash Clark, and Sheba Russell.
Rise and shine, folks. Sun is starting to rise, but you're not seeing much of it. We have the cloud cover out there. Take a live look at the city of Noonan. You can see downtown Noonan where we have some peaks of sunshine. That's the way it's going to be at least through early afternoon. Later, after 1, 2 o'clock, we'll start to see some showers develop back into the forecast area.
Orlando is now the second major city to ban police from using no-knock warrants. Congress is also considering a law that would stop the practice altogether. It all follows the death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot and killed by Louisville police during a no-knock raid. Why do law enforcement officers use no-knock warrants? Well, here's our Why Guy.
For at least 40 years, law enforcement officers across the country have used a tactic that is the subject of increasing controversy. The city of Louisville now forbids its officers from using no-knock warrants. The ban follows the death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot by police as they entered her home. Taylor's family now supports a nationwide ban.
They definitely should be banned. They should have to use body cams at all times.
Officers across the country continue to use no-knock warrants. Let's look at why. The tactic grew out of the nation's war on drugs. It allows officers to enter a home by force without first announcing their purpose. Major John Hutchison of the Georgia Public Safety Training Center tells me without the no-knock warrant, investigators can lose the element of surprise when attempting to arrest a drug suspect.
Then that gives them time to go and destroy that evidence, such as, flushing it down the commode and things like that.
A judge has to approve a no-knock warrant. Major Hutchison tells me officers first have to gather evidence to prove that, for example, their suspect poses a threat.
That there are a lot of firearms in the residence, or the past criminal history, or propensity of violence.
In 2006, Atlanta police officers issued a no-knock warrant at the wrong home, shooting and killing 92-year-old Katherine Johnston. Major Hutchison says when properly researched and executed, no-knock warrants can work.
We teach that here at the training center, to not cut corners, to make sure that we lay that groundwork.
Still, there are those who believe it's time to say no to the no-knock warrant.
Many people, Jerry. Thank you. And if you have a question for Jerry Carnes, our Why Guy, send it to us on Facebook, Twitter, or email. Chesley?
Thanks a lot, Francesca. Your planning forecast for today calls for a poncho if you're going out a little bit later on. Got to get the kids out, right? And promising them. Well, the later you wait in the week, I think the better it will be as far as our chances for rain. Today, it's about a 50% chance, mainly during the afternoons. A couple thunderstorms will be embedded in those showers, and temperatures will be on the warm side this afternoon as well. Getting on up there now. Just a few clouds starting to roll back into the forecast area. Mostly cloudy skies what we have out there right now. And I think it's going to be a mix of sun and clouds right on through noon today. After 1 o'clock is when we'll start to see those showers begin to develop. A couple of embedded thunderstorms will be around by the 4 o'clock hour. You're looking at 87 for the high. We'll drop down to 81 by 7 o'clock tonight. A couple features, upper level low heading our way or back into or back closer to our area. We'll keep the chance for the showers in the forecast. So we're not going to totally see everything just disappear, even though the area of low pressure that has been pesky the last couple of days is now pushing a little bit further off toward the east. There's a better look at it right there over towards South Carolina. As that same area of low pressure gets over into the warmer waters of the Atlantic Ocean, has the potential for some tropical development. In fact, the 40% chance for the next 2 days from the Hurricane Center for this to become something tropical. A 50% chance over the next 5 days as it moves closer toward the outer banks of North Carolina and then eventually up toward the Delmarva Peninsula and further off to the north. If it happens to become a tropical storm, it will be named Faye. Faye is the next in line. Here's our forecast track model. You can follow along with the time right there at the top of the screen. Shows the clouds in place. Again, mix of sun and clouds through early afternoon. Once we get past 1 or around 1 o'clock, that's when we'll start to see some of these isolated showers beginning to develop. A couple embedded thunderstorms will be around as well after about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Where we have some of those thunderstorms will be some brief heavy rain, some gusty winds. Some frequent lightning could be associated with it as well. That could ruin some of your softball and baseball practices this afternoon, so keep an eye out. Download our app if you don't have it. We'll alert you if any showers happen to hit your area. We're going to do it again on Thursday, but by the afternoon, we'll give it only a 40% chance for the rain during the afternoon, and then we'll do it again as we head into Friday, only a 30% chance for the rain. How about even lower chances as we head into the weekend? There are some hints that there could be some mesoscale systems that set up just to the north and west of us that could move into the forecast area. For now, I'm going to leave this at a 20% chance for the rain with temperatures in the low 90s. Crash Clark.
All right, my friend. Yeah, we've been enjoying the 6 o'clock hour. I mean, I can't even tell you there's a whole lot of volume out there. I mean, sure, there's some cars on the road. This is 85 southbound, folks, leaving 316. I was on 85 yesterday from Duluth all the way into downtown, and that was yesterday afternoon around 1:30 in the afternoon. And there was so much volume in both directions. I'm not understanding how we have no morning rush hours, but yet we're having afternoon rush hours. Look at all those little blue icons. Those are all stalls. Got about a half dozen stalls all sitting off to the side of the road, not bothering anybody. In fact, we'll go back to this right here and we'll show you. There's just not a brake light in sight. Enjoy it, but watch those afternoons. They're getting a little bit crowded out there. Francesca, I've got a 4-hour Delta flight coming up in September.
Do ya?
Do I have to hold my breath the whole time?
No, as a matter of fact, I got a story that you're gonna love. And maybe you will too if you're flying like Crash is. In other news, Delta Airlines working to keep passengers safe as more Americans take to the friendly skies during the pandemic. The Atlanta-based airline is changing its air filters inside the cabin, not once, but twice as often as recommended. The air is actually run through heavy filters, similar to those used in hospitals, which pulls out more than 99% of particles. On every flight, a new batch of air flows into the cabin every 2 to 4 minutes. And summer is lasting a little longer at Six Flags over Georgia and Whitewater. The theme park actually announced that it's extending its summer calendar through August 16th. And the park says the extension is because of the revised local school calendars for the upcoming school year. You can actually buy tickets and see all the operating changes on their website. And another story that Crash is going to absolutely love. Crash, are you listening?
I'm listening.
Okay. Disney World in Orlando, Florida is preparing to reopen this weekend. He's going wild over there. You just can't see him. The Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom open Saturday. He sounded like Mickey when you said it. Oh boy, yay! Woohoo! Epcot and Hollywood Studios reopen July 15th, and guests must wear masks though, Crash, a face mask. And
that's okay. I'll put on a mask.
And they get to have their temperatures checked. That's a must. I'm done. That was beautiful. Disney, hire him ASAP. Still ahead, folks, remembering Sequoia Turner, the 8-year-old girl shot and killed on July 4th. Next, how the city of Atlanta is honoring her.
Help patients in need by joining 11 Alive, the American Red Cross, and Budweiser at the Atlanta Hawks Blood Drive, July 10th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the State Farm Arena.
Masks are now required within the city of Atlanta. This morning, we'll tell you why the mayor decided to go against the governor's executive order.
A second child is shot in the span of just a few days. This morning, how a 9-year-old boy is doing following a shooting in East Atlanta Village.
President Trump is pressuring schools to reopen while he calls CDC guidelines for schools impractical and threatens to cut off federal funding to those that don't open their doors.
Live from Atlanta, Morning Rush starts now.
You heard right. Masks are now mandatory in the city of Atlanta due to an executive order signed by Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. The ordinance follows a growing list of cities that now have a mask mandate. So we want to know what you think. Should masks be enforced in public? You can cast your vote by going online, 11alive.com/vote. We're going to share some of your reactions to this order coming up in just a few minutes. You can see no overwhelmingly right there at the bottom of our screen. 77% saying no.
What say you, Chess?
Mandatory, yes.
Crash?
In public, yes.
Absolutely. We're right back where we started 4 months later. We're never going to get rid of this thing.
The fellows have spoken. Good morning. I'm Francesca Amaker. Sheba Russell is off today. Crash Clark and meteorologist Chesley McNeil are here with us this morning. Chesley, should we expect rain today?
Yes. I'm mandating it. We're looking at some scattered showers will be popping up in the area once again this afternoon. Right now, though, all is quiet. Well, just a few showers now popping up well over toward our east, right along I-20 here, between Edenton and Athens. You can see the showers are starting to pop up there. And we'll see, the threat for the rain will be around throughout the day. So at any time we can have some showers develop, but more likely once we get toward the noon hour. So that's what we're watching for. And then the thunderstorms after about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s starting off this morning, 74 degrees in Atlanta and Duluth, 72 in Peachtree City, 71 in Marietta, 70 right now over toward Canton. We're going to go up to the 80s, of course, close to 90 for an afternoon high today. In fact, 89 degrees our forecast high temperature with those northwest winds about 5 miles per hour or less today. Muggy to start. Crash?
Okay. I love it when he says the muggies. All right, folks, our flashing lights that we found on 85 southbound around Claremont Road, they had to block a couple of right lanes and then they moved this thing off to the right-hand shoulder. No delays on 85. That's southbound right around Claremont Road. So folks coming inside the perimeter, you'll just see the flashing lights. Let's take you well outside the perimeter up to Jackson County. We've got a wreck blocking several lanes on 85 southbound near Highway 129. Folks, just outside of Pendergrass as you make your way into Gwinnett County. Be prepared. One more look. 85 south at Claremont Road. Francesca?
We are still monitoring breaking news out of California. That's where crews will continue their search this morning for Glee actress Naya Rivera after she disappeared while swimming with her 4-year-old son. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department says Rivera was boating with her son just yesterday. The two went swimming, but the actress never returned to the boat. It's believed she wasn't wearing a life jacket, but her son was. Police were called to the scene after her son was spotted sleeping alone in the boat. We will continue to follow this breaking story and bring you the latest both on air and online. New developments this morning. A young child is recovering after being shot multiple times in a triple shooting. This all happening less than a week after another child was killed in the senseless violence. Mara Sirianni has the latest.
Atlanta police say a 9-year-old boy is in stable condition this morning after being shot several times in the legs. Investigators say he's one of 3 people shot last night during an argument. The calls came out around 9:30 last night for a shooting near Flat Shoals Avenue and Glenwood Avenue. When officers first arrived, they only found 1 victim. Witnesses telling investigators there were additional victims, 2 men who had been shot and the 9-year-old boy. APD determining a dispute between a large group of people likely led to the violence. Tragically, this is the 2nd child shot in less than a week. Police are still searching for Sequoia Turner's killer. We want to remind you, investigators are looking for the man in this video. He was seen carrying an AR-15 the night Turner was killed. Investigators think he could know something about her death. Meanwhile, police are still working that shooting investigation from last night. They say the little boy and both adults who were shot are expected to survive.
Mara, thank you. And many of you are asking about the GoFundMe account for Sequoia Turner. I've posted that on my social media pages. And of course, we'll have more on this developing story. Be sure to download the 11 Alive app to get alerts sent straight to your phone. Effective immediately, masks or face coverings will be required in the city of Atlanta. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom signing the executive order just yesterday. The new mandate also includes banning gatherings of 10 or more people. Nick Sturdivant is live in Midtown with more on the order. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Francesca. Yesterday on MSNBC, Mayor Bottom said that she would defy the governor's executive order, and she made good on that promise. The city of Atlanta officially announced that that order would go into effect around 9 o'clock last night. Here are some of the main points from that order. Everyone must wear a mask or cloth face covering over their nose and mouth within the city of Atlanta. The order also bans gatherings of more than 10 people. Now, there are exceptions. For instance, anyone younger than 10 years old, anyone in their own car, and anyone with a medical condition or disability that prevents them from wearing a mask, just to name a few. And again, she was on MSNBC yesterday morning. The mayor explained why she made the call to go against Governor Kemp's executive order.
And we will never be able to reopen our schools and our economy if we don't take some responsibility for what we can do as leaders to make sure that people aren't exposed to this virus.
And Francesca, tomorrow, Friday, the city of South Fulton will have a meeting to talk about its own mask mandate.
Nick, thank you. This is one of the top stories on our 11 Alive Facebook page right now with nearly 800 comments. Our poll question this morning, should wearing a mask be enforced in public? You see it right there on the screen. You can vote now at 11alive.com/vote. 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks, and here's what you were saying about the mayor's executive order. Amelia writes, this will save lives and so much suffering. Joe says, how is she going to enforce it? And then Bruce writes, we wear one when we go out to protect others. Again, our poll question this morning, should wearing a mask be enforced in public? You can vote now at 11alive.com/vote.
Yes, I think so. I'm trying to understand, and I would love to hear from folks, what is it about the mask that you don't like? Because if it doesn't hurt you, it can only help you, why wouldn't you do it? I guess that's my question. How much time do you spend outside where it becomes that uncomfortable? All we need to do is wear it when we're out in public. That means going to the grocery store, going to the post office, or whatever it is you're doing, and then you can take it right off. Once you get in your car or once you get home, you can take it right off. So I don't understand the pushback for making it mandatory.
Well, Chesley, there are some people who don't think that the coronavirus is real at all, and it is. And, you know, I have a lot of different medical friends and people in the field that we've been speaking with over the last couple of weeks. And the saddest thing that they're saying to me, if you don't like wearing a mask and you feel like you can't breathe, you feel like it infringes on your rights, it feels even worse to be intubated. It feels even worse to wear a ventilator.
Good point.
So wear the mask. If you don't, at this point, Chesley, you can't save everyone. All right, that's what my mom said. You can't save everyone. All right, the city of South Fulton is expected to hold an emergency virtual meeting to discuss a mask mandate. The meeting will take place tomorrow night at 6:30. Athens, Clark, East Point, and Savannah already have the rule in effect. The city of Edoraville says it will issue a mask ordinance on Monday. Now to the latest on the rising COVID-19 cases right here in Georgia. The number of people seeking medical care continues to rise as cases show no sign of slowing down. Yesterday, the Department of Public Health reported 3,420 new COVID-19 cases. That's our second largest increase since the virus was first reported in our state. Young adults remain the largest age group impacted. Those ages 18 to 29 account for 24% of all positive cases, but still only a fraction, 6% of all hospitalizations. The age group seeking the most medical treatment are those in their 60s. They account for only 10% of all COVID-19 cases, but 20% of all hospital patients reported. Now, with the start of school just weeks away, more school districts are solidifying back-to-school guidelines. The reality is it could keep changing as COVID-19 trends change. When we talked with Clayton County Superintendent about leaning towards fully digital learning come August, he said this year will require a lot of flexibility.
The options are designed to recognize that we have to remain very fluid and nimble and be able to pivot based upon what the data tells us. For example, if we have to start virtually, I'm hopeful that at some point, if we can get this data, the pandemic data under control, we may find ourselves stepping down, if you will, to a blended model where we have some face-to-face and some virtual learning. And then as the data continues to improve, we may find ourselves in a situation where we can come back all face-to-face.
Now, as far as digital learning goes, the end of the year showed that many kids could not consistently connect because they don't have good internet or access to a device. Marietta City Schools has announced a mandated mask policy when the school year begins for them, August 4th. It's hoping to slow the spread of COVID-19. Anyone inside the schools, including visitors, will have to wear a mask at all times. Parents, that includes you. Now, this is a change in their original plan when they were strongly encouraging people to wear masks.
We may need to build in opportunities for kids who are uncomfortable with the mask to take it off every 15 or 20 minutes by going outside for a moment where it's supervising, having just a minute to like shake it off and come back in. We're willing to make every reasonable accommodation so children can get back in school.
Now, the district is also limiting large group assemblies and field trips for the time being. For the full story, head to myeastcobbnews.com. Now to the latest top stories we're following on this Thursday morning, including President Trump's new push to reopen schools.
I'm Alice Barr in Washington. President Trump is pushing schools to reopen in the fall and pushing back against CDC safety guidelines for how to reopen safely. The president calling them expensive and impractical. He is also now threatening to cut off federal funding to school districts that don't open their doors. And the CDC now says that it will be issuing new guidelines next week. At the same time, teachers' unions say that many of their members are worried about going back into the classroom and that some may take extended leaves of absences or quit altogether.
An officer is at home recovering after being injured while responding to a deadly crash in Gwinnett County. This is the red alert we tracked on Morning Rush yesterday. The officer was hurt while trying to save a driver from this fiery crash on I-85 near Jimmy Carter Boulevard. The crash involved a truck and SUV. One of the drivers died.
The folks at the WNBA were all trying to find themselves on the right side of history. She's finding herself on the wrong side of history.
Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Reverend Raphael Warnock is criticizing Senator Kelly Loeffler for not supporting the Black Lives Matter movement in the WNBA. Loeffler, who is the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, said she did not want players to wear uniforms supporting Black Lives Matter, calling it a political movement.
And I want to speak for all Americans who feel like they don't have a voice, who feel like they're going to be canceled if they speak out.
Loeffler is standing firm on her comments despite growing calls for her to step down.
All right, let's take a look at our forecast for today. You're looking at a live look at Blue Ridge, where we have a few clouds overhead. We'll be looking at some showers a little bit later on. If you're getting out to do some exercise, early would be a little bit better, obviously. It'll be drier for you. A bit muggy starting off this morning with temperatures in the 70s, 89 for your afternoon high.
Fran will roll for it. All right, folks, keeping an eye on that 85 ride. Good news. Remember the flashing lights that were here on 85 south at Claremont Road? Bye-bye. All gone. No problems whatsoever. Very few cars there on 85. But we got to keep an eye on the wreck on 85 southbound up near Highway 129 in Jackson County.
Ahead on Morning Rush, President Trump's recent campaign rally may have caused a spike in COVID-19 cases in Oklahoma. What health officials are saying about the surge. And this is an unprecedented times that we're living in, but how do you talk about it with your children? We're going to be talking to an expert coming up at 6:45.
But first, after the break, many scientists now believe coronavirus could be airborne. We're connecting the dots on how the new
Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms issuing an executive order now mandating mask or cloth face coverings.
There's a lot going on in the world right now, so how do you talk about it with your kids? I'll take you behind the headline with tips for starting hard conversations on everything from the pandemic to social justice.
What the CDC recommends for schools reopening amid the pandemic. We have those stories and more on this Thursday, July 9th.
Live from Atlanta, Morning Rush starts now.
It's a big blow to sports fans. The Ivy League, which includes Harvard and Yale, will not play sports this fall because of the coronavirus pandemic. Do you think this is something the bigger conferences should consider? Let us know your thoughts. Use that hashtag MorningRushATL. We're going to join the conversation in minutes. Personally, I think it's preposterous How are Muffy and I going to enjoy the Harvard-Yale game?
You're so silly, Crash Clark. They're doing it for the health and the well-being of many.
Agree.
Good morning, I'm Francesca Amaker. Sheba Russell is off today. Crash Clark and meteorologist Chesley McNeil are in the studio with me, and we're all a good distance from each other, I would say, right?
Yeah.
All right,
I don't know where you guys are.
Let's start your morning with a check of your forecast, Chesley.
All right, we're looking at just a few clouds overhead and some fog out there as well. In fact, let's get to it. We do have some reduced visibilities up toward Rome, and you can see the darker gray in there where it's a little bit more dense, and then up toward Blairsville as well, down to 1 mile visibility. Everywhere else we're starting off okay with decent visibility. We're looking at temperatures in the 70s. It's a muggy start for us. 74 degrees in Athens and Duluth, 70 right now in Canton and Marietta, 74 also in Atlanta, 73 degrees down in Edenton. Here's your forecast for today. 83 degrees by noon with a mix of sun and clouds. In fact, I think around noon is where we'll start to see some of those isolated showers beginning to develop. Scattered thunderstorms are possible later this afternoon with 89 for your afternoon high. Crash?
Pretty decent on the interstates, my friend, around the metro area, but we did find some problems out in Cobb County off of C.H. James Parkway and Garrett Road. A lot of trucks out there off of C.H. James. If you're familiar with the area, you can see most of these cars sitting off to the right-hand side. A couple of flatbed wreckers out there, not really blocking too much for you. I think you're able to get by that. Going to keep an eye on this one up in Jackson County, though, unfortunately, starting to cause some big-time delays on 85 southbound at Highway 129. Francesca?
We are staying on top of breaking news out of California. That's where crews will continue their search this morning for Glee actress Naya Rivera after she disappeared while swimming with her 4-year-old son. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department says Rivera was boating with her son just yesterday. The two went swimming, but the actress never returned to the vessel. It's believed she was not wearing a life jacket, but her son was. Police were called to the scene after her son was spotted sleeping alone on the boat. We will continue to follow this breaking news story and bring you the latest both on air and online. And right now, the search is on to find the gunman who shot a 9-year-old boy and 2 others. The shooting happened last night in southeast Atlanta near Flat Shoals Avenue and Glenwood Avenue. Atlanta police say in an argument it led to the shooting. Police say the little boy and 2 other people were shot and they'll be okay. Now, masks or face coverings are now required in the city of Atlanta. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms officially signing the executive order last night. Nick Sturdivant is live in Midtown with more on the specifics of this order. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Francesca. And this is a big talker this morning. Our poll question this morning: should wearing a mask be enforced in public? You can go vote right now on 11alive.com/vote. And this order goes against the governor's executive orders. Now, here are the main points from the mayor's order. Everyone must wear a mask or cloth face covering over their nose and mouth within the city of Atlanta. The order also bans gatherings of more than 10 people. Athens, East Point, and Savannah already have the rule in effect. The city of Doraville says it will issue a mask ordinance on Monday. On MSNBC, the mayor explained why she made the call to go against Governor Kemp's executive order. Listen in.
COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on our city, specifically Black and brown communities with the higher death rates, and we will never be able to reopen our schools and our economy if we don't take some responsibility.
And Francesca, on Friday, the city of South Fulton will hold a meeting to talk about its own mask mandate.
Nick, thank you. From the coronavirus pandemic to gun violence, there is a lot of back and forth between Governor Brian Kemp and Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms on what decisions are best for the city of Atlanta. Naima Abdullahi breaks down their opposing views, and you can watch her story now on 11alive.com. Several metro Atlanta districts are still deciding how to start school this fall, going back to the classroom, stay virtual, or offer a hybrid option. The CDC is releasing new guidelines on how to keep the building safe for students and staff when they go back. Mara Siriani is at her home in Cobb County with the details.
The guidance includes things like modifying classrooms where students are in close contact, staggering arrival and dismissal times, and social distancing. The guidance also stresses personal hygiene. That includes wearing a mask and regular cleanings and disinfection of desks and shared surfaces. According to the guidance, desks should be 6 feet apart, schools should stagger the times students arrive and head home, Health officials also recommend there needs to be empty rows between students on buses. Under the current plan, schools also need detailed plans on what to do when a student, teacher, or staff member gets the virus to keep it from spreading. It mentions temporary school dismissals if there is a substantial spread. The CDC's director echoing the importance of reopening schools, adding the guidelines should not be used as rationale to keep schools closed.
Mara, thank you. The class of 2020 from Atlanta Public Schools will not walk the stage anytime soon. The district is suspending its plans for in-person graduations, which were supposed to happen the week of July 20th. APS making the move because of the spike in COVID-19 cases right here in Fulton County. No word when the graduation ceremonies will be rescheduled. Now to some other top stories we're following this Thursday morning.
Increasing demand for a coronavirus test across the metro. DeKalb, Fulton, Gwinnett, and Cobb counties say it's been happening for the past 2 weeks. This as the Department of Public Health says 1 million tests have been processed in our state. New look. Here's a clearer picture of the man Atlanta police want to find in connection to the killing of an 8-year-old girl. Atlanta Crime Stoppers releasing this still from surveillance video of the person of interest carrying an AR-15 outside a package store on Pryor Road. That's where Sequoia Turner was shot and killed on the 4th of July. There is now a $20,000 reward in this case.
Removing merchandise. Amazon is the latest retailer to announce it's pulling gear for the Washington Redskins after the NFL and stadium sponsor FedEx called on the team to change its name. Sellers have 48 hours to review and remove products. Team officials say they will review the name.
All right, stadiums at Ivy League schools will be quiet this fall due to concerns around the coronavirus. The Ivy League Council of Presidents have decided to cancel athletic competition through the first semester. Now, practices and other athletic training opportunities for student athletes will be permitted as long as they follow the school and state regulations. Now, athletes will not lose their season of Ivy League or NCAA eligibility. Students seeking a 5th year can work it out with their schools for other options. A decision on winter and spring sports will be determined at a later date. Now, 11 Live is where Atlanta speaks, and we were getting a lot of reaction on this story online, of course. Karen says, good, now go for the NFL. Bob says, didn't realize they played football. I know the kids hate this. And William writes, if pro sports was as intelligent as the Ivy League, they would do the same. Will it take a player to die for them to understand? Hope it doesn't go that far, Crash, gets to that point. But I will say kudos to the Ivy League for taking a stand. While other leagues are hemming and hawing a little bit, they've decided to take a stand. And recall this, back in March, the Ivy League was the first to cancel their basketball season, and other schools kind of criticized them for being too rash about it. An NBA player gets the coronavirus, everybody shuts down. So this could be, again, the first domino for the rest to follow. Will they criticize the Ivy League this time, or will they say, maybe they're on to something?
I mean, with the numbers spiking the way they are, Chesley, and we've already seen NBA players, Freddie Freeman from our own Atlanta Braves and 3 other players, and they're supposed to be isolated and taking all these precautions. I think they might have a point here. The only problem with this, what speaks? The almighty dollar. Are you going to tell the rest of these big conferences, the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, are you going to tell them no college football? That's a lot of money, and I know they got to weigh that because it's young lives, old lives, anybody's life over playing a sport. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, you can join in on the conversation on this story on our Morning Rush Insiders page. All you have to do is search Morning Rush Insiders, send us a request, and we'll approve it, and you can start chatting away. All right, let's take a look at our what to wear forecast for today. And I think you can get away with the shorts and short sleeves today, especially early on. You can get out in the yard and play like these guys, playing Superman and Batman or whatever superhero they want to be. Carry the umbrella with you, though, because this afternoon we'll see some scattered showers move into the forecast area. 89 degrees, our forecast high for today. Those scattered thunderstorms start to go down a little bit, at least the chance for them goes down as we head closer to the weekend. But the temperatures will be going up. It's going to be hot this weekend. I'll let you know how hot in the full forecast coming up. Crash, back to you.
All right, my friend, I'm keeping an eye on some of these roadways here. Let me see. My traffic computers are being a little bit antsy. They don't want to work. All right, here we are right here on 85 Metropolitan Parkway down on that south side. Folks coming in and out of the airport, not bad at all as you make your way to the downtown connector. A couple of hot spots for you. This one in Cobb County, really keeping an eye on C.H. James Parkway at Garrett Road. There are some lanes blocked. They've got a couple cars up up on the flatbed wreckers, but we're seeing some pretty heavy delays along C.H. James Parkway. So little FYI for folks out there. And of course, we're keeping an eye on this one in Jackson County, still there blocking lanes on 85 southbound at Highway 129. Francesca?
From the pandemic to protests against police brutality, there's a lot happening across the globe right now. Next, we go behind the headline with tips on how to start the conversation with your children.
And the recent focus on racism and police brutality is sparking an interest in Black-owned businesses. We're going to take a look at the impact tomorrow morning on Morning Rush.
Help patients in need by joining 11 Alive, the American Red Cross, and Budweiser at the Atlanta Hawks Blood Drive, July 10th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. To make an appointment, visit Red Cross.
Back to Morning Rush with meteorologist Chesley McNeil, Francesca Amaker, Crash Clark, and Sheba Russell.
Well, good morning, everyone. 6:43 is the current time. We got a few clouds on the outside. I think we'll have a mix of sun and clouds early on. Expect the rain to come back to us a little bit later on this afternoon. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. You can see temperatures getting up close to 90 degrees this afternoon. It's after 2 o'clock that we can see some of those scattered thunderstorms around. Looking at a 40% chance as we head through early evening. Again, 89 degrees will be your afternoon high temperature for today.
Families are having a lot of hard conversations right now, but when you're trying to explain everything from a worldwide pandemic to racism to social injustice and social justice, it can be hard to know where to start. So Christy Diaz sat down with Dr. Sandra Mass-Robinson, a specialist in adolescent and young adult psychiatry. She takes you behind the headline this morning.
There's just a lot going on in the world right now. It's heavy and it's a lot to digest. So when it's this difficult for even an adult to wrap their mind around the complexities of what's going on, how do you even breach this with a child?
Kids at different ages have a different response.
There's not just one right answer for parents here.
As I tell my patients, I'm a physician, not a magician. I don't have answers. No one does. With the younger kids, there is the need to just be reassuring, focus on the today, and for them to be safe. The older kids getting into teenage years, they're like adults. They're thinking about the future. And that is a whole different ballgame that you have to address with them.
Just a couple of days ago, an 8-year-old was caught up in all of this and was shot and killed driving in the car with her parents. If your child is scared, that's valid. I mean, there are a lot of things to be scared of right now.
Always, I think, lead from a place from yourself first, so that you're identifying issues that then the child can relate to. I didn't sleep well last night, and I was worried about things. Do you ever get worried? Parents need to be completely honest with their kids. Mommy, when is this going to end? I hope you'll be honest and say, we don't know. We do know right now we're doing okay.
I wonder if maybe the only wrong response here is just not to talk about it at all.
Absolutely. There's less anxiety if you can talk about it.
There was so much more to this interview, so if you want to hear more from Dr. Mass-Robinson, I have posted the full interview on my 11 Alive Facebook page.
Much needed conversation. Thank you, Christy. Time now 6:45. In other news, Bed Bath & Beyond is the latest retailer to close hundreds of stores after losing big because of the coronavirus pandemic. The home store says sales fell nearly 50% during its last quarter, even though online sales surged over 100%. The company says it plans to permanently close roughly 200 stores over the next 2 years, starting later this year. Meanwhile, other stores are expanding. Walgreens will soon be adding primary care clinics to hundreds of its stores across the U.S. The pharmacy chain says it will partner with Village MD to staff and run the full-service clinics. The companies say they will open between 500 and 700 stores in more than 30 markets over the next 5 years. Most of the clinics will include social workers, nurses, and therapists, in addition to annual checkups, walk-in appointments, and home visits. And you know them and you love them. I am talking about the Chick-fil-A cows. You see them behind me? You'll have to wait a little longer, though, to show your appreciation for the mascot. The Atlanta chain is postponing its Cow Appreciation Day because of the pandemic. I know. The annual tradition gives customers free food for dressing up like a cow. Remember this? We talk about it every year. It happened exactly 1 year ago, and millions have participated. Many of the chain's dining rooms are still closed. A new date has not been set, though. But the company has posted some activities on Pinterest so families can enjoy cow-themed quality time together. And Chesley, honestly, if you want to just dress up like a cow just for the heck of it, who are we to stop them, right?
You know, you show up to a drive-through at Chick-fil-A, they may just spot you a sandwich. They may just do it. Man, those lines are long, though. Take a look at Blue Ridge up in the mountains. Look at that fog out there. Yeah, we got some patchy fog in some spots starting off this morning, so you're going to have to be careful. Mainly up here to the north. Look at Rome. You're down to 1 mile visibility there. Blairsville down to 0 visibility. 10 miles is excellent visibility, and we have that in some spots. Edenton, you're down to 3. And so starting off with a little isolated fog around some spots. Also seeing some showers starting to pop up. Here we are, Greene County. Got a little moderate pocket of rain popping up here, and then toward Putnam County as well. Over toward Edenton, you got some rain there. This is right along I-20 here. We'll see more of this later on this afternoon. I think the showers a little bit more likely once we get around the noon hour, and then the thunderstorms after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon. 71 degree start. We'll get up to 83 by noon. 89 our forecast high for today. Down to 82 by 7 o'clock tonight. A couple features on the map here. Upper level disturbance moving through our area right now, and then off to the eastern seaboard. At the surface, we have an area of low pressure as well. This could become something tropical. In fact, the Hurricane Center giving it about a good 80% chance to become tropical. If it becomes a tropical storm, it will be named Faye, but it's moving away from our area. Here is our forecast track model. You can follow along with the time right there at the top of the screen. It shows at least trying to show some showers developing early on. I think a better chance, or at least a little bit more likely, once we get toward the noon hour today and around 1, you'll see these isolated showers popping up. There will be some embedded thunderstorms here and there. Not everybody will receive them, but those of us that do, we'll get some brief heavy rain coming down on you. Also some frequent lightning and maybe some gusty winds, although we're not anticipating much in the way of severe weather. After 9 o'clock, those showers should begin to subside. We'll start you off with partly sunny skies on Friday morning. During the afternoon, a 30% chance for the rain, and then down to a 20% chance as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So some drier days headed our way. Temperatures will be warming up, though. 92 degrees for the high on Saturday, Sunday 91. We're going to stay with those temperatures close to 90 degrees as we start the work week next week with very low chances for the rain. Crash Clark, how's the ride?
It's kind of scattered, covered, and smothered. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. We got a few problems out and about. Let's kind of get to them. One of them's clearing up, but still causing quite the delays out in Cobb County on C.H. James Parkway at Garrett Road. We saw a couple of flatbeds with a few cars up on top, so they're trying to clear this thing out of the way, but boy, some pretty hefty delays on C.H. James Parkway. Going to take you up to Jackson County. This one's still a big problem with a tractor-trailer wreck on 85 southbound past Highway 129. Now, the right lane's going to be blocked. At some point, they blocked all lanes, and then they tried to reopen it again. Highway 124, if you're trying to roll out of Pendergrass. 85, the rest of that ride further down the ride there out of Gwinnett County, not bad at all, making that transition with 316. Look at the speed, averaging 73 miles an hour. In fact, look at the big three, including 85, 75, and 400. Not bad. And let me see my sunrise shot. Look at that one right there. That is I-85 at 316. The traffic is flowing, but it's hard not to concentrate on the effulgent, if you will, sunrise.
That
Francesca.
is beautiful.
Yeah, I did that just for you.
Thank you, Crash Clark.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a look at the poll we've had up all morning long on 11alive.com/vote. The question, should wearing a mask be enforced in public? We're looking at it right now, and it says yes for 43% of you, but no for 57%. No, not at all. So it's looking like Atlanta does not want that. Okay, continue chiming in using the hashtag MorningRushATL. I would say this is split. I say wear a mask. We'll be right back.
Photographers want to use the fields for pictures, so 20-something years later, this is where we're at.
We certainly appreciate it. Now it's only $1 per sunflower, some of them which can be more than 5 feet tall. But you got to act fast because the flowers lose their petals within a couple weeks. Sunflower.
They are so beautiful, Crash.
Yeah, they really are.
Just like you and Chesley. And I know that it's been proven that plants and flowers during this time, especially when so many people are in solitude, they uplift your mood.
I have a feeling if 2020 has anything to say, they're going to uproot and start attacking us.
Oh, no, not the sunflowers.
Attack of the sunflowers.
Attack of the sunflowers. All right, folks, Sheba is back tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.